I am working on some fantasy sketches for my Hogwarts Legacy sketchbook. More hippogryphs. This is my character in the game, and these are drawn on that old damaged Bristol paper that I had. You can see I had drawn something else on the back, but I decided to use them to fill my sketchbook instead. This is my Slytherin wizard on the game. Since the sketchbook is all about the fantasy animals, I drew him with the case or the bag in this instance. It's like the bag from the Fantastic Beasts movie. You use it to capture the animals you find in the wild, and then you can release them in the room of requirement. I am using gouache on all of these. I am also using a different microphone, so I hope it sounds okay. These are also my cheap gouache paints, and I've decided to give up. These sketches are the last ones I do with these paints. I made up my mind to use the ones I really like after these, because life is short, so just use the paints you like. I want to use the best paints that I have, even if I end up doing just a sketch in the end. I used color pencils too on this. I wanted to cover some of the places that it seems the gouache can't cover, and also to give some color variation and some definition. But I also ended up using ink. I did some line work with it in the end. Because the actual paint is very messy, I think that adding line work helped to make it look more finished. Here is the finished one. It's okay. Not my favorite drawing I've made of my Slytherin character, but it's okay. The next sketch to paint is the hippogriff on flight. I went with the brown hippogriff for this set of sketches. There's only 3 types in the game: the white, the black, and this one, the brown ones. I started this sketch with a mix of grey browns, just so that I could build the color slowly. I applied darker browns afterwards. I also added some redder tones in some places to give it some interest. I didn't want them to be just one flat color. I like when there's variation in the feathers. I did the line work with ink for this sketch too, and I used some hatching to emphasize the dark areas of the feathers. I wanted it to look like the tips of the feathers in the wings were darker, so with the hatching I was hoping to give it a gradient feel to the colors. Here's the final sketch. And here I'm starting the next one, which is a portrait of the hippogriff. I began like the previous one, making a layer with a bit of grey-brown, not a dark value at all, and as I built upon the value I decided to add more color. I added different hues, not just plain brown. I added some redder tones, some yellowish ones, and also some more on the purple side. I think adding different hues makes the sketch look more alive. At the end, I added details and hatching with ink. I used less layers of gouache for this one. I kind of liked that the gouache can be used as a watercolor wash, and I like the look when combined with the ink. Now on to the next sketch. It's another full-body hippogriff. I started this one the same way, with the light values, but I did try to add more gouache this time. Initially I wanted to make it all with gouache, but these paints are so hard to mix and very hard to cover the surface properly, that in the end I just gave up and went back into the same way of adding ink for the details. It's a good thing I like to ink, actually. I also like the pose of this one, even though I couldn't really paint it as I had hoped at first. And maybe since these are all for a sketchbook, maybe it's better if they have a certain sketchy, unfinished look. The final one is also a portrait. I don't think it came out too good. I just don't like his face here, and I can't quite pinpoint why. It just comes across as judgmental. I just don't like it, but I colored it anyway. I guess it didn't look that way to me when I first drew it, but as I started adding the colors, it just began to look off to me. I tried to use the same color combinations to keep the brown lively, with the red, yellow, and purple hues. And then I started adding the details and the line work with ink. But you can tell I really wasn't feeling it with this one. I didn't add that many hatchings to portray the form. It's like I tried with the face, and since it wasn't coming across as I had seen it in my mind, I just decided to finish it just to have it finished. Anyway, here is how it looks in the end. Here's all the sketches together. And here they are after I stuck them on my sketchbook. The sketchbook is looking nice and fat, but I think I still have a long way to go. I'm kind of running out of ideas of what else to put in it, but something will come up, I'm sure.